This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by Liquid IV. The Summer Olympics are nearly upon us, and hydration is important for athletes and fans. And Liquid IV offers extraordinary hydration for physical endurance, mental clarity, and overall well-being.
A single stick of Liquid IV delivers better hydration than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, making it the perfect summertime companion whether you're working out, chilling poolside, traveling.
So tear, pour, and live more, and turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Hey, friendos, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we're talking Paul Heyman not acknowledging Solo as the tribal chief, because there is one true tribal chief. Put your ones up for Roman Reigns, Larson. And in doing so, he got a big old powerbomb through a table. So
yeah, that was pretty darn shocking.
That's pretty great,
to say the least. It's after the ups and downs, the twists and turns, the roller coaster ride that was a lot of the phase 1 of the Bloodline story. Roman's title reign, ultimately losing to Cody at WrestleMania 40. And then following Mania 40, we've kind of started a new phase now with Solo stepping up, proclaiming himself as the new tribal chief. And it's been a simmering build so far. And, he's brought in Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, maybe at some point soon in the near future, Hikuleu, to form his own version of the bloodline, bad bloodline. And Heyman's been doing a great job this whole time of portraying a man who is in a situation that he desperately wants to get out of, but feels like he can't. And it's all come to a head. It was just a matter of time or a segment where Heyman was forced to make that choice, where the fork in the road was presented to him in a very stark manner. And that was the segment that closed Smackdown on Friday, where Solo not only wanted Heyman to acknowledge him, but to put the Ula Fala on him, and to officially declare that he is the tribal chief, replacing Roman Reigns. And Heyman could not do it, would not do it. He says, I acknowledge that you are not my tribal chief. And he paid for it, but this is, all prelude to Roman coming back. And I guess the question is, there's rumors that we're going to get Solo and Cody as the main event of SummerSlam. And maybe it's too soon for Roman to come back at Money in the Bank. You got this 6-man tag match, Cody, Orton, Kevin Owens versus Bloodline. If Roman comes back at Money in the Bank, interferes in that match, and sets up Roman versus Solo at SummerSlam. But the way Triple H has been handling the storytelling WWE, that is way too soon.
Dude, one of the threads since WrestleMania with this bad bloodline situation has been Paul Heyman, to a degree, has been, at least to the best of his ability, a bit of a buffer between bad bloodline completely running wild.
Yeah.
He's been warning people. He's been, trying to make things as smooth as possible with management. We've seen this. And I wonder if the next story idea, if the next story thread will be, what happens when bad bloodline is completely and totally unchecked? What happens when they don't have a wise man? Will they bring in a bad wise man?
Interesting.
I don't even know who that could be. I don't know. Maybe there can be some ideas thrown around out there, but that I thought about that. I'm like, they got rid of Paul Heyman, the wise man. Could there be a bad wise man?
Who could they bring in for bad wise
Maggie
man?
suggests Rikishi, the bad wise man. He's no stranger to concocting, plans. I did it for The Rock. So, yeah, I don't know, but the idea of, oh, man, there could be a bad wise man here could be interesting. But the idea that they're basically, one idea I really like is also expanding the bad bloodline even further. You know, I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, do we know were Gorillas of Destiny, were they on the bloodline PowerPoint presentation that The Rock threw
I
up
don't
there? Because I don't think they're
remember.
considered actual like
No, they're not.
family
They're
family.
yeah, no. I mean, The Rock called Haku uncle. You know,
Yeah.
like um, but I don't
Well, if that's the
recall.
case, then they probably are then.
I don't recall if they were on the family tree.
I guess my point is I'd like to see how far they can stretch this idea of like association because they're Roman and the Usos were bound by family. You know, I mean they would show video packages with like, you know, pictures of them from high school growing up, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. And the idea that the bad bloodline is like kind of poisoning the bloodline by bringing in people who aren't even family related, who aren't even like, you know, related by history, which, you know, the bloodline kind of is as well. They incorporate that as well.
Hmm.
And, you know, just how corrupt can these guys be? I think is an interesting idea that they could explore.
Hmm.
Because these people, they're not bound by any sort of moral thread. You know, it's complete corruption.
Hmm.
And with Paul
Thirst for
Heyman,
power. Yes.
with Paul Heyman not there. Yeah, there's no, you know, at least with Roman, it was the family makes everything stronger and everybody in the WWE eats better when I'm at the head of the table. And yes, it was super corrupted and it was by any means necessary. With Solo, it's all about I want power and I
Hmm.
don't care what anybody else gets or doesn't get. And so there's a number of ways they can explore that idea now that Heyman's out without bringing Roman back, without any of that. And I don't know how far you can go because look, Solo versus Cody is not a WrestleMania main event. I still think it'd be interesting if Rock was sort of at the head of the
Well, I
bad
mean, Cody
bloodline.
for Solo was for SummerSlam, not WrestleMania.
No, I know. I'm
Okay.
saying how far can you extend this?
Yeah, gotcha.
Because yeah, like Cody versus Solo, I think that's fine for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I don't have an issue.
But it's not like you can get to WrestleMania without a Rock or a Roman Reigns. You
Yeah.
just can't do
Yeah.
that. And so at some point they gotta come back to get the road to WrestleMania so you get Cody Rock, which I think is probably what they want to do.
And then probably more likely Roman Solo at WrestleMania if it's Cody Rock.
You would think so. And if they're gonna do Roman, so look, Roman, his Mania matches are gonna be big time. So you got to get Solo to that big time point, and doing SummerSlam first in the main event. That's one thing to do. I think it necessitates number one, Bad Bloodline winning at Money in the Bank.
Oh, yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
obviously. But yeah, what's something else that they can do that's just because this was dastardly. Paul
Yeah.
Heyman's old.
Yeah.
And he is not in the kind of shape you think should be taking power bombs through tables. And hats off to Paul Heyman for doing that seemingly after not sleeping for 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
A magnificent performance, and the crowd exploded. And I saw on Twitter somebody point out that a year ago, Madison Square Garden, it was a moment where Solo was staring at that Ulafala pretty hardcore, and then you come back around to it this year. Staging these things in front of crowds, these big the expertise with which they're executing these moments is really something to behold, because you know Madison Square Garden is going to give you the pop,
The atmosphere. Yeah.
the atmosphere,
Yeah.
and staging a big moment like this, where Paul Heyman says, "I do not acknowledge you as my tribal chief. The real tribal chief is Roman Reigns." I mean, that crowd just exploded for Heyman because they love Heyman in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, just an absolutely masterclass in that pro wrestling moment that is going
Yeah.
to be remembered for
And it's
a
it's
long
it's
time.
been it's going to be interesting when Roman does come back because Roman, without doing a thing, he hasn't been on TV since WrestleMania. He hasn't been on TV in nearly 3 months. When he comes back, he's going to be one of, if not the top baby face in the company, and he doesn't have to change really anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
he'll be somewhat less of a dickhead to his family, and that's kind of it. He should carry himself the same way. He should have the same music. Like he should be. He shouldn't wake up one morning and be like, "Oh, I need to wear the vest again." You know what I mean?
Oh my God, that'd be horrible.
He
Yeah.
needs to be a continuation of the tribal chief Roman Reigns, but perhaps following the loss at WrestleMania, seeing Solo power hungry, he's humbled a bit more humility about himself, and therefore treats people around him a bit better. But it's not a fundamental change in the character itself, it's an evolution.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a guy who finds peace, you know,
Or at least searching for it, yeah.
and you know what we saw before was a Roman Reigns just racked with insecurities, and because he had a purpose, but that purpose was so muddied by what Seth Rollins had done to him years ago and what he had gone through since then, that he had built up this huge wall between him and everybody else. And he's realizing, well, this is the consequences of that.
Yep.
Like you inevitably lose everything. And not only do you lose everything, but your legacy is now going to be tainted because this asshole, that you dubbed next in line has taken over, and he's kind of a piece of shit.
Yep.
And now that's kind of on you. And so that's going to be his story, is how does he rectify that? So yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I swear to God, if I hear that, damn it, I'll be really disappointed. But I have dude, you got to have full faith in WWE at this point, especially for the bloodline stuff. It has been really, and it's so funny because you see people, especially on social media, who just, I don't know what the expectation is, or they're just completely, illiterate when it comes to basic storytelling, who are like, oh, bloodline, they've really fallen off. I'm like, no, man, they're going through a period of storytelling where you got to get to that next big moment. But I don't know. Honestly, Vince McMahon did so much to kill the idea of storytelling in wrestling for decades.
Absolutely.
That it's not terribly surprising that people don't really understand how storytelling works.
Well, then I think they're also based on historically how creative was handled in the WWE, not to get payoffs for moments that they've invested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's totally true,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought it was absolutely compelling stuff. Solo, being and Heyman's reaction to, where did you get the Ulafala from? Like, that's not yours. You don't get that. And that was his breaking point. He's like, oh, this is too far. This means too much.
It's one thing for Solo to say, oh, I'm head of the table, I'm the tribal chief. But, they've done a really good job establishing what the Ulafala means.
Yeah.
And so when Tongaloa gets it and hands it to Solo, and Solo is like, present it to me. Mm-hmm. Put it on me. That's when shit gets real. Yeah. That's the physical manifestation of the title of head of the table of the tribal chief. Mm-hmm. And when Heyman sees that, he understands the stakes fully and completely. I mean, he may have this whole time, but like I said, for him, this was a bit of his crossroads.
Yeah.
If he puts that Ulafala on Solo, that's him stabbing Roman Reigns in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And say what you will about Heyman, his character throughout the entire Bloodline saga. Apart from that kind of weird point where he seemingly was like maybe reuniting with Brock Lesnar or not.
Yeah.
Around the time they were reuniting or leading up to WrestleMania where they unified the titles. You cannot question his loyalty and love for Roman Reigns.
It's funny. I love that you bring up the Brock Lesnar stuff, and this is kind of a tangent, but you got to appreciate that just how important it is that the story remains true. Because when you think of the moments that have gone sort of astray with the bloodline, like Finn Balor with the, slipping off the thing.
No, the turnbuckle broke.
Stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry, slipping off the thing. It was the turnbuckle somehow, but through divine intervention.
It was the subtext was an act of God that kept Roman as champion. Yes.
Yeah. But that, and then like, yeah, Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar. It seemed like and that's usually, it's like not with the Finn Balor stuff, but the Brock Lesnar stuff. And then when The Rock came back, dealing with personalities that are trying to go into it for themselves, and you have to dance around that and not stay true to the story. So it ends up weird.
Yeah.
Same thing with The Rock. It's like, okay, well, that just got weird. But I love, and I'm kind of curious how this documentary in 2 days is gonna portray that, because it will be a portrayal.
Yes.
But lucky for us fans, the story remained true. Cody got the win. Now he's got his dad's old title, apparently, at the end of the Madison Square Garden, or when the camera stopped rolling. But yeah, and the story remains, it remains compelling because they stayed with it.
Yeah.
My laptop's about to explode. Give me a second. I'm just going to push the button to turn it off.
Oh my goodness.
It's got this weird freezing thing where like the fans start like, blowing up.
Oh, like you got a jet engine going on there, huh?
Yeah.
No, you're right. And we talked about it last night in relation to Forbidden Door, whether AEW was going to stay true to the story they were telling with Swerve and Ospreay.
Yeah.
Which, if you stay true to the story, Ospreay had to lose that match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm happy they did, because I think by and large, when you have a story that you have a vision for and it's working, you got to stay true to it and see it to its conclusion. I'd say you can't add some details down the line if inspiration comes or circumstances dictate. But to the best of your ability, you got to see that story through, and to take something that you've taken a lot of time and creative energy to set up, only to kind of toss it aside because whether it be of convenience or you think there's something better that's come along, storyline wise, usually is not the right way to approach things.
Yeah,
your audience invests time and energy in these stories. Sometimes you're telling over the course of years, and if they don't get a payoff, they're going to be let down, and then it builds up a lack of trust in terms of your ability as a creative to tell stories, full stop. And that's what happened so often during the Vince years. Stuff would be set up, people would start getting invested. No, we're doing something else now.
Yeah.
And you saw how fans were hesitant to invest in WWE stories to any degree. And one thing the Bloodline story has really done, for the most part, barring a couple circumstances, the Brock situation, The Rock, but they actually did a pretty good job of, once they realized, no, we can't deviate from the story we have planned. We have to just work The Rock into it.
Yeah.
By and large, the Bloodline story has delivered, and people are invested in it, I think. Although you mentioned some people on social media were like, "Oh, this is."
Well, no, that's just sort of like between Mania and now, when something.
Yeah, that's what I'm
big
talking about.
doesn't
Yeah,
happen. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But no, it seemed universally this was loved.
Yeah,
the Heyman thing.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
It's so good.
There was, I saw some people talk about how post Mania the Bloodline V2 story, they're like, oh wow, Bloodline's really taking a step back. I'm like, no, this is building blocks. They're setting stuff up.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is the rebuilding of the Bloodline in Solo's image now.
Yeah.
And I got to. Solo has given, now that he's kind of been given the ball, I thought he's doing a really good job.
I think he's doing a terrific job. I really do. I think that, and it's all like in the decisions that the character makes and just how like kind of evil they are.
Yeah.
Like, dude, saying either the main event's going to be the 6-man or the main event is going to be you versus Tonga Loa or Tama Tonga in the dressing room to Paul Heyman a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
That is, at that point, that is simply just mean.
It is.
But it's so good. It's like, oh God, you're kind of a bastard, aren't you? And to his credit, the dude is performing it really, really well. I thought the acknowledgement ceremony, even before the Heyman stuff, when everybody is just given their full-throated, praise of Solo, I think that goes a long way. Him wearing the Ulafala and just sitting there like, hey, I'm Roman Reigns, even though everybody's like, no, you're fucking just a pretender. You suck, That's good.
It is.
That's what we want, And I don't know. And the great thing is, I have no idea how this is going to work out at SummerSlam. Let's assume for a second that it's going to be Cody versus Solo, which I think is a strong assumption to make. How does that work itself out? Like, I don't know that Solo can just eat 3 Crossroads and then we're done with it.
No, there's got to be some overbooking involved for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you got the rest of the bloodline. You got Orton. You got Kevin Owens. We don't know if Roman would make an appearance if he does at SummerSlam.
Does Cody walk out of SummerSlam with the title?
I would think so.
What's your percentage on that?
I'm like 75% sure.
Yeah, 25%. That's not nothing though.
No, I know.
I'm kind of of the same mind, you know.
I think it'd probably be more interesting for Solo to win and then Roman confront him afterwards.
At this point, though, is the story more interesting for Solo to get his hands on that title?
I don't know, because if he doesn't, he could get even more desperate because we know the legitimacy that title bestows upon you as head of the table.
Yeah.
That means nearly everything.
Yeah.
And so Solo having that legitimacy, that could be interesting. Solo losing his shot at the title and being desperate to people for people to view him as a legitimate head of the table despite the title, despite not having the title.
Mm-hmm.
That could be interesting too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how they handle this. We're going to dive into our SmackDown recap here in just a moment. But Larson, what do you say we pay some bills first?
Let's do it. Let's take a break here. Get a word from our sponsor, Liquid IV. The Summer Olympics are nearly here. And while Steve and I, you could say we're long shots to make this year's Team USA basketball squad, but hydration is still important for us. We play hoops twice a week.
Yeah, man, that's absolutely right. And Liquid IV provides us with superior hydration when we're out there on the basketball court. A single stick of Liquid IV delivers better hydration than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients. And while Liquid IV is awesome for our one-on-one contest, it's also great for mental clarity and overall well-being.
I went camping this past weekend and made sure to grab a bunch of Liquid IV with me to drink while I was out in the sun, chilling by the lake, so I didn't get dehydrated. And when I got home yesterday afternoon, I made sure to drink some sugar-free lemon lime Liquid IV so I could recover from 3 days out there in the wilderness. And I got to say, it helped me stay sharp and focused while we did our watch-along and review last night. But Liquid IV is also the ideal companion whether you're out on the golf course, traveling, or to use before, during, or after your workouts.
So tear, pour, and live more with America's #1 powdered hydration brand and turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Dude, it's going to be, I think, 110 out there. So we're not going to ball up until, I think, Wednesday, right?
No, it's Friday morning, I thought.
Oh, we're not doing it till Friday morning?
Because Wednesday is still supposed to be very hot.
We got a show to do on Wednesday, don't we?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 112 on Wednesday.
Oh, my God. Yeah, man. What was it? Liquidiv.com. Use code RAW because it is gnarly out there. I've been giving sticks to Lacey because Lacey's been doing bike riding every day.
Yeah.
She's like a 26-mile ride yesterday.
That's incredible.
And so she's got like the 2 bottles set up.
Yeah.
One just with water, and then one I've been like, look, dude, I got this Liquid IV. I'd give you that. And she comes home, feels like $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when she wakes up, she's hella sore, but that's what you get for going on those long-ass bike rides.
24 miles, yeah.
24 miles is long. It's a long way. So,
It
yeah,
is.
man.
It is.
Liquid IV's good stuff. We got some super chats and members here to acknowledge on the YouTube. Jeff C. here with the Friendo Club membership. Jeff C. now gets in on the Big Blue Predictions Challenge for Money in the Bank. We're going to talk about that in a second. Mickey G. with the super chat says, is the Bloodline story in Godfather Part 3 territory?
No.
Well, I mean, Godfather Part 3 is not a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad movie. But the Godfather 3 was Michael trying to get out of the mafia, you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to think like where it is in the Godfather legacy.
I mean, I guess right now
it's more kind of Godfather 2. Like,
yeah.
Michael was trying to go good in Godfather 2.
Yeah, but then he was fully corrupted by being...
He realized that the system is corrupt, so why not just be corrupt?
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of what Solo's doing now.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like it's in Godfather 2 territory.
Yeah.
Mr. Dope here gifted a membership to the community. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Dope.
Mr. Dope.
Appreciate that. Also, Woody Allen has been a member now for 6 months. Says WWE's going crazy right now. It feels like the Attitude Era, but with good matches every week. You know, dude, here's the thing about the Attitude Era, too. And thank you very much for the membership, Woody Allen.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Here's the thing about the Attitude Era. We didn't get, look, I know people are like, oh, Stone Cold versus Vince. There was really no payoff for that.
No,
it was just every week doing zany things.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, looking back, kind of a tangent here, and I thought about this earlier today, especially after Chad Gable talked about why he re-signed and how saying how Triple H wanted to get everybody involved. Mm-hmm. So much of the Attitude Era was about getting as many people involved as possible.
That is true.
And not to say the stories were good, even most of the time, but people across the roster were involved in things. And if that's one thing Triple H is taking from the Attitude Era, that's really a step in the right direction, because so often during Vince, he had people just sitting and catering for weeks.
Dude, I would love to know. I would really love to know why he has elected to take on such a long game type philosophy. We all know it works. Like, we know now that it works. I'm just sort of curious what influenced that. You know what I mean? Like when they've talked before about the Clique traveling together, being on the road together, talking about how wrestling should be. Is this what they would talk about back then?
Maybe, or maybe Triple H really likes watching his HBO dramas. Like, he's a huge fan of Succession. He was like, wow, I got to look at this story told over 4 seasons.
He was doing it in NXT, though. I think he was trying to do it in NXT.
He was trying to do it in NXT, and we saw it with Gargano and Ciampa, but I think that was kind of the template. Maybe he's trying to apply now to the main roster. But a lot of times in NXT, it was, hey, I'm badass dude that wants to fight against another badass dude who wants to fight, and then they fight, and the match is good. But it was, not all the stories in NXT were, like, terribly involved.
No, but I know, like, when you look at, like, peak NXT, like, the really good stuff, it was obvious that he was trying to do that. He was trying to do, like, the long-term story, but you had the call-up. So it's like you couldn't do a story last 3 years because people would just get snatched away. Yeah. It's like, okay, what do I do now? Killer Whale Toys here. Member for 10 months acknowledges Jay Smooth, the new Big Blue Predictions champion after the month of our first ever month of champions. Jay Smooth walks away the winner of the Big Blue Predictions title, along with Hat. Where's Hat?
Jay Smooth gets Hat. Why you look for Hat? You got Hat. I was going to mention that we're coming up on another predictions challenge coming up this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Money in the Bank, NXT Heatwave. Look at that. That's a heck of a hat. Heck of a hat. And you can still get in on this if you join the Friendo Club. Sorry, the Friendo Club setup.
Now's the perfect time.
Now is the perfect time, because here's the thing. If you come out the victor of this Money in the Bank weekend, you get your own proverbial briefcase to cash in on any future over the next year predictions challenge. Say you're down 2 points. I want to try to cash in. Steve will grab the lunchbox filled with maybe 1 million pieces of paper if we can pull this off. Yeah, you can see it right there, right behind your left ear. And there's an automatic win. There's probably several automatic losses and numbers in between. And we're going to hopefully try to make this whole cash-in endeavor a little more interesting. Not only that, coming up, I think in July at some point, the G1, another such opportunity. You win the G1 predictions, similar to Money in the Bank. Use that to cash in. If you're close in the predictions challenge, cash in, you maybe get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like you said, man, right now is the perfect time, because in advance of the next time Big Blue's on the line, which will probably be SummerSlam. Man, we've got SummerSlam's in early August. When's all in is late August, isn't it? Or is it?
Yeah, it's the end of August, and then 2 weeks after. So the weekend of All In is also Bash in Berlin.
Oh wow! Okay,
back-to-back days, I believe.
Okay, so beginning of August we got SummerSlam.
And then 2 weeks after that is All Out, I believe.
Oh, okay. All right. So we got some decisions to make in terms of what
How we're gonna
challenges we're going to have.
construct all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that should be a lot of fun. So a lot of good predictions challenges coming up. And of course, you can get in on that action right now. One of two ways to get that Friendo Club set up to get you in on the predictions challenge. Go to patreon.com/Stephen Larson, click on Friendo Club Setup, or you can go to youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Some of you might be right here, right now. Click on join, and it's $5 a month. Either way you do it, it's $5 a month. Gets you access to bonus episodes, question threads, and of course, the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. So a lot of that stuff is good. Also, brand new, if you guys have been wondering, hey, Steve, where can I get one of those hats with that Friendo Club logo you got going on there? Right now, friendoshop.com. You can get this hat. Where's the thing? Oh, that's it right there. So we got shirts, hoodies, 2 variations on the hat, and a coffee mug with this logo on it right now at friendoshop.com. And you can get 20% off using the promo code Friendo2024. New merch over at friendoshop.com. Go ahead and
I
check
want to
that
see
out.
how many ounces does this
It's 16.
16-ounce mug?
I only elected to do the large mug.
Good.
It is the largest they have. Unfortunately, it doesn't go above that.
No, 16's fine.
Yeah. Jeffrey Nguyen, Hall of Famer, gifted 5 memberships to the community here on the YouTube. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
We appreciate you as always. Also, Killer Whale Toys gifted a membership to the community. Thank you very much for that. HDMS Kingslayer has become a Friendo club member for 4 months now. Says, I acknowledge Stephen Larson. Throwing the ones up, I guess. But Killer Whale Toy says, throw your 2s up. There's 2 of us.
It's 2 of us.
Yeah, so there's 2 of us.
So
you throw the 2s up for Stephen Larson.
But there's more than one member of the bloodline.
Yeah, there's only one tribal chief, only one head of the table.
But they say we're the ones. That means collectively they're number 1. They're on top. Where are we on the chartable ratings right now? Because that'll determine how many fingers we put up.
Okay. Also, Kiddo Hudson's been a member for 11 months. Says, if it's so hot, why don't you guys just go to your local YMCA to ball? I have no idea where the local YMCA is.
I think part of it is in my mind, I imagine if you're balling up at the Y, then there's people waiting to get next.
Yeah.
To get the next run. I don't want to play in front of other people. We have a park where it's just us. No one's ever there.
Nobody's ever there.
Nobody's ever there. And that's how I like it. If we get our own private indoor court, absolutely. We might play every day.
Yeah. See, if enough people drop the Friendo Club setup on us, then we can get our own private court.
That's the goal, really.
A lot of people. We're number 3 on Chartable.
All right.
I'm sorry, number 23, not number 3. We're number 23. We're behind. And in terms of other just fan-based podcasts, yeah, we're behind What Culture. We're behind Heel Shit. I still don't know what that is. The Lapsed Fan, we're behind them. Love Deadlock. They're great. We're behind them. The Ringer, they got like a big thing behind them, though. They got Bill Simmons behind them, I think.
Yeah, they got Bill Simmons money.
And we're behind Solid. Damn, Solid Monster's number 11. Good job, Solid Monster. What the hell is this shit? Perched on the top rope. Who are they?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're like, throw your 5s up for Stephen Larson.
All right. We have till 5.
Rocky Feller, member for a year now, says Paul Heyman should get an Emmy. Yeah, man, they got to get their publicity machine behind getting some awards.
I know. Yeah. I know. The stigma of pro wrestling is more or less gone.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they be celebrated by industry awards?
That's next.
Or with industry awards. I mean, come on.
Man.
Come on. If you're watching live or VOD here on the YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button. Give this video a like. It does a lot to help the video with the algorithm. And perhaps more importantly, it gives us the validation we crave that people like us and our content.
Oh, man. Klay Thompson's heading to the Mavericks. Wow.
Yeah, he seemed like he was done with the Warriors. So.
Yeah, he really did. So, SmackDown. We had a recap, kick things off. Jacob Fatu's debut. And then backstage, SUV pulls up. Paul Heyman, looking miserable, awaits. Solo and Grills of Destiny exit. Heyman says, Solo, not that you answer to me, but I respectfully ask, where's Jacob Fatu? Solo pats Heyman on the shoulder and walks through gorilla position, makes his entrance. As they walk the ramp, The Tron shows Cody, Kevin Owens, and Orton arriving. They rush to the stage, start the brawl, start SmackDown off with a big brawl. I love that. Orton hits Tonga with a belly to back on the barricade. Kevin Owens puts Tonga Loa through a table with a swanton off the guardrail near the stands. That was an awesome. What a great, man. That looks like it's kind of difficult to do, or at least kind of dicey to do, and they just did it during a brawl.
I know to balance on the guardrail, which is what, like an inch and a half thick, but it's rounded, so it's not even like a stable place to put your feet.
That shit's crazy.
It is crazy.
And then Aldis comes out with security, and then back from commercial, Cody, Kevin Owens, and Orton are in the ring. Aldis tries to calm them down. Cody's like, bring the bloodline back out. Aldis is like, no. He sends in security. Of course, they get killed by Team Cody. Kevin Owens, Cody gets mics, hands them to Kevin Owens and Orton. Kevin Owens says, hey, Bloodline, if you thought we were going to wait till Money in the Bank, you're even dumber than you look. And then Orton says, hey, Kevin, Bloodline's been crawling up my ass for 2 years. They put me on the shelf for 18 months, so at Money in the Bank, we put the Bloodline down for good. And then Cody says, the Bloodline looks in this ring, and you know what they see? They see 3 victims. I don't see 3 victims. I see one of the most dangerous men on the planet, a man who's main evented WrestleMania. I see my friend Kevin Owens, and I see a 14-time world champ, a first ballot Hall of Famer, man who's responsible for me standing here, the legend killer Randy Orton. I also see a sold-out world's most famous arena in Madison Square Garden. You see magic like this, a crowd like this. I should be defending my title tonight against a worthy opponent. Meanwhile, Larson, what was Randy Orton doing behind him?
Staring at the title.
He was like not being subtle about it either. He's like, oh, me? What? You want to defend me? He says, instead, I'm fighting a war with the Bloodline that I thought I already finished at WrestleMania. Then Aldis comes to the ring with some cops. Ugh. Cody says, Solo at Money in the Bank. I don't know why we're calling it the Bloodline, because I don't see a boss. I don't see a head of the table. I see a seat filler.
Ooh.
And then cops escort Kevin Owens, Orton, Cody out of the arena.
And then Kayla runs in, asks Nick Aldis for a comment, and he's like, I don't really want to talk about it. And then that SUV drives off. And our first match of the evening is the Money in the Bank qualifier. Tiffany Stratton against Candice LeRae and Jade Cargill. Right before, so there was some interesting production stuff going on this episode of SmackDown. I guess Fox is like really cracking down on what their standards and practices.
Everybody's over this shit.
Yeah,
there's like a whole Fightful write-up about people backstage at WWE being over this shit. It's fucking outrageous what Fox is doing. Just blacking out things.
Because it looked like, because Nia, for example, here, Nia walks down towards the ring after Jade press slams Candice out of the ring onto Tiffany, who is ringside. And so she walks out, picture drops out for a moment, and when it comes back, it looks like Bianca teleported behind her.
Yeah, it's so bad.
And there's like whole sections where it was Logan Paul, his promo before his match. There was a chunk of it that just didn't air.
Yeah.
Because they dropped it out.
Yeah.
Or they muted him. And it's lame. It's hecka lame.
It is. It's super lame. Yeah. I get it. It's network. And the crowd was chanting at one point, fuck the Pacers. But man, like they gotta figure something else out, because it absolutely kills the mood. It really does.
It does. It really it hampers one's enjoyment of the television product significantly when they do shit like this. I get it. Fox, they got their standards and practices. It's things that they want to put on TV and things they don't. This is live programming.
Like it's been on TV for 5 years now.
Yeah.
You guys can't figure this shit out?
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty lame. Anyways, Tiffany ends up getting the win. So at one point, Tiffany evades a quarter splash from Jade, so Jade goes tumbling to the floor. Nia walks over to Jade until Bianca stops her, so the refs get between them. So Indy Hartwell then sneaks in and shoves Jade into the ring post. Bianca ends up chasing Indy backstage. We're back in the ring. Candice rolls up Tiffany, gets a 2. Candice looking for the springboard moonsault. Tiffany gets her knees up and hits her moonsault to get the win. She's going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Not terribly surprised. I kind of feel like Tiffany's going to get the win in Money in the Bank too. We should do like a power ranking who's going to win Money in the Bank. Now that, because are there any more I know there's qualifiers.
Yeah, there's qualifiers tonight. It's Zoe,
Ivy,
Dakota Kai, and Ivy
Dakota
Nile.
Kai. Yeah. And then on the men's side, we got Drew, Ilya, and
Sheamus.
Sheamus.
So Drew should qualify. He'll win that match.
You think he's probably the strongest guy to win Money in the Bank right now?
Him or Jay?
I don't think Jay's going to win it.
Then it's got to be
Drew.
Drew.
If Jay won it. I think Gable has an outside chance.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
He might be
but then you gotta assume the Wyatt Six might prevent him from scaling that ladder successfully and getting that briefcase.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I say Drew or anyway, it's in the men's ladder match, it's gonna be someone from Raw winning.
Yeah, oh yeah, I believe. Yeah, I think that. Yeah. Yeah.
After that, we're backstage. Naomi's warming up. She has a qualifier later. Bailey walks up, and they're talking about how annoying Tiffany Stratton is. And Bailey says, we don't have to worry about her winning, right? Because you're going to take care of it, Naomi, right? And Naomi says, yeah, I'll take care of it. But when I win, I will have to cash in on you, Bailey. Bailey's like, I will worry about that later. Blair Davenport steps in and says, oh, you don't have to worry about Naomi winning Money in the Bank because I'm winning the qualifier tonight. Bailey, your days as champion are numbered.
Before we get to that qualifying match, we got Nick Aldis in his office talking to Mia Yim. She's like, hey, you saw that Nia jumped me last week. Didn't get my lick back. I want a match against her. And Aldis is like, I'll see what I can do. B-Fab and the Profits walk in. B-Fab's like, after Aldis sent Cody, KO, and Orton home, wait, what did she say? They need the Bloodline tonight?
They want a match with the Bloodline. They
want the Bloodline tonight. Okay. And Aldis like, not tonight, but I'll think about next week. And then Pretty Deadly step in. They're like, they're inspired by New York City, willing to give the perfect pitch. Pretty Deadly, the musical. Dawkins like, nobody wants to see that shit. And Ford says, I got a new pitch. Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly, the beatdown. And Aldis is like, let's do it.
He seems pretty into it. So then we're backstage with Solo, with Paul Heyman. And Heyman says, Cody, Randy, Kevin Owens, they've all been removed from Madison Square Garden by NYPD. All this leaves now is one, Solo, let me serve you as the wise man. What the hell are you doing tonight? Are we doing tonight? Two, please tell me where Jacob Fatu is. And Solo says, Paul, I hear you. What's the point of having a wise man if I don't take your advice, right? So I'm listening to you. He said he was too dangerous, so Jacob's not here. That's why you're my wise man, and we're going to make that official tonight.
Ooh. Before that, we had Santos Escobar versus LA Knight versus Logan Paul for Money in the Bank qualifying match.
This match was really good.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Logan Paul drops a promo. He says, Madison Square Garden, the mecca of sports entertainment, where legends are made and heroes are born tonight. Logan Paul gets to perform in this historic arena, and that's why I brought someone who understands what it means to win in Madison Square Garden, Tyrese Halliburton. Now, for those of you who aren't savvy to the NBA, Halliburton's on the Pacers. They beat
They eliminated the Knicks from the playoffs this year, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Tyrese comes out, and then Jalen Brunson, who's on the New York Knicks, is sitting ringside. So we had some WWE x NBA crossover action here. Really, really awesome match with all these guys. Were you surprised at the outcome here?
I wasn't necessarily surprised that LA Knight won. I'm surprised he pinned Logan Paul to win, though. You know, I mean, it was a roll up with a handful of tights, but still, I thought they were going to save a decision between them for their U.S. title match at SummerSlam. And since LA Knight got a win already over Logan Paul, it doesn't necessarily guarantee he's walking out of Cleveland Browns Stadium as a new U.S. champion. I know there's time. There's a month plus.
If Logan Paul screws LA Knight out of Money in the Bank, if it's like the second year in a row where he's batting it like a cat, like he did last year, and Logan Paul this year is the one to screw him out of it, I could see that being a quid pro quo thing. I could see that as being okay, it's all evened up here. Because I feel you on that one.
Perchance. So down towards the finish, Logan calls Tyrese over. And so he says something to him. Tyrese runs over that dude from Logan's entourage, his crew, gets the brass knuckles. And Tyrese isn't terribly shy about the fact that he has brass knuckles in his hand. He's like punching the ring steps so you could hear their brass knuckles. Jalen Brunson jumps the barricade and steps up to Tyrese, so he gets some refs. They try to keep him apart. Eventually, Tyrese is in a situation where he can hand Logan the brass knuckles, so Logan's reaching out for him, but Santos hits him with double knees, looks to hit double knees on LA Knight. LA Knight, though, evades, hits a BFT. Logan rolls up LA Knight. LA Knight kicks out and reverses into a roll-up of his own with a handful of tights to get the win. So that's when we get Tyrese. He stands in the ring with Logan. They start circling LA Knight. Jalen Brunson grabs a chair from the timekeeper area and slides in the ring. And like he's trying to pick it up, but LA Knight like tries to keep him from getting it. And then eventually Brunson does pick it up. And Paul backs Halliburton off, and they leave the ring.
Tyrese looked like he was having a ton of fun. We know he's like a big wrestling fan going
massive.
back a ways. Like when he first showed up in SAC, because he was with SAC first. When he first showed up here, I remember giving a podcast, and he was just like a wealth of wrestling knowledge.
Yeah, he's a huge wrestling fan, yeah.
Yeah, but it was fun to see him and Jalen Brunson together.
It was a lot of fun.
Basketball.
And the crowd was super into it.
They were super into it. They were so into it, they made Fox censor the entire goddamn promo.
Yeah, more or less. Then we got Baron and Apollo Crews backstage watching what just went down. And so Baron's like, I got to give LA Knight props for the win. And I hope he knows what he's in for. And then Apollo goes, you won Money in the Bank before, right? And Baron's like, yeah, I've won it. It didn't really work out for me. So Apollo says, I got my money on Jey Uso, but I'm happy that Santos now has no chance of winning Money in the Bank. Says, I got some payback on his guys in NXT. Before he continue, though, Mello steps in and says, there's a Mello here who actually won a championship in this building now.
It's funny.
Says, I want to run something by you. When I win Money in the Bank, I'm going to make this new t-shirt. It's going to say Mello in the Bank. It's going to sell a ton. It's going to sell out. Apollo Crews says, you're way over your head. And Mello goes, pfft. Last week I pinned 14-time world champion Randy Orton. People should have their money on Mello. And he leaves, and Baron goes, I'm a betting man. Mello has no shot.
Yeah, when he ain't won nothing, it's easy to talk shit. Carmelo Hayes coming in there. These two chumps are talking shit to him.
I know, after just pinning Randy Orton. Come on.
After that, we had a Sika Memorial. And then we had an Andrade video package where he talks about Money in the Bank. I'm not here just to take the briefcase. I'm here to take everything. And then we had, he's not there to take the briefcase. We had Blair Davenport. He's going to take all the moves is what he's going to take.
Yeah.
He's
going to take a nasty bump.
Exactly. We had Blair Davenport versus Indy Hartwell versus Naomi. Money in the Bank qualifier. Naomi gets the win here gets a kick on Indy and then a full Nelson bomb to get the win. Good match right here.
Yeah, Jade comes to the ringside to get her revenge on Indy after Indy cost her a chance to win her qualifier.
They gotta get Blair Davenport into some good stories, man.
They do.
Oh boy, nobody knows who the hell she is.
No. I will say this. I do appreciate that on SmackDown they're trying to develop some stories in the women's tag division. Because now you got Bianca and Jade beefing with Indy and Candice. And in the event that Nia doesn't beat Bayley at SummerSlam, or even if she does, you could do a Nia Tiffany Stratton tag team as well.
Yep.
So they're laying the groundwork to tell some stories with 3 tag teams to really start telling some stories in the women's tag division. That's something that's been needed for a very long time. For so long, it's been you have the champions and 2 competitors get together, form a team to challenge, and then they win or lose, and then you just repeat the cycle kind of endlessly.
Yeah.
Seems like they're putting in the groundwork to actually develop a tag division.
I know. I like that. That seems to be the MO here, and that's why you got to give the WWE a bit of a benefit of the doubt, is that they do take Triple H takes his time with stuff, but it pays off. You got to every week you build and you build and you build and you build, and stuff that isn't happening for particular titles, you got to build and build and build with that stuff.
Yep.
Speaking of which, we had a DIY interview after that. Byron asked about getting a tag title shot.
Sorry, who had an interview, Steve?
We are.
I thought you wouldn't get that out of your system. So
why? I got to learn those lyrics, man. So Byron asked about getting a tag title shot next week.
Hey, town down. Isn't that how it goes?
No, man. That's a completely different, incredibly similar theme song. Ciampa says, we won the NXT tag titles in the same building in Toronto. And then he's interrupted by Austin Theory. He said, hey, I've had 2 weeks to think about what you said and did to me. Gargano's like, look, man, we were not aiming for you. We were aiming for Waller. Theory's like, in Toronto, me and Waller are going to show up. Gargano's like, look, Waller doesn't care about you. He's only using you to be tag champions. And then Waller comes out of nowhere and just completely destroys Gargano and Ciampa. Theory grabs Waller, and then he's like, nah, come on, let's get out of here. Enough of that.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have another accidental super kick in his direction.
Yeah, he basically pulls Waller off of Gargano.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a point of grabbing his tag title and like showing it towards camera too. So
yeah,
it was a situation where Theory's like, yeah, Gargano, you may be right, but look, I'm getting something out of this too. I'm tag champ.
I've got the gold.
The main event segment was Bloodline Acknowledgement Ceremony. Steve, put your ones up.
Put your ones up. I don't know about this bad bloodline. I don't want to put my ones up for bad bloodline.
Well, until good bloodline actually is reunited and feuds with bad bloodline. This is the only bloodline we got.
You know what? From now on, I'm adhering to my theory that The Rock is actually in control of bad bloodline. I'm throwing my L's up for bad bloodline.
All right, fair enough.
Fair enough. Doing.
So Solo leads Tama Tonga Loa, Paul Heyman to the ring. Heyman takes the mic and says, tonight, live in the world's most famous arena. And then Solo, just like Roman does, put his hand out to say, put Mike in it. So the crowd's chanting for Roman. Heyman hands over the mic. Solo takes it and says, before we get to that, Paul, let me introduce you to the newest member of the Bloodline, the Samoan werewolf, my enforcer, Jacob Fatu. So Jacob Fatu's entrance happens. He comes to the ring. Smackdown rolls on. Come back from commercial. Solo, this opens up right at commercial. Madison Square Garden. Acknowledge me. Heyman's an absolute wreck. He looked like he hasn't slept in 3 days.
There's a couple people in the crowd that acknowledge him, but by and large, they're like, "You suck, boo! Yeah. You're not Roman."
Yeah, Heyman's got, looks like he hasn't shaved in a couple days.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a mess. The eyes, like that's one thing, and him not dyeing his hair is one thing. The eyes being so bloodshot, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he legit looks like he hadn't slept.
So we got to point this out because Eastside mentioned it too. People ask, what are our thoughts on Jacob Fatu's solo entrance and his theme song?
The theme's fine. I mean, it's all right. It's very much in line with the rest of the bad bloodlines. There's thematic unity there in terms of the themes. They don't all sound the same, but there's unity across all of them. The Tron's good. I like the fire shooting up in the rhythm of the song. And Jacob Fatu he has it. He's got aura.
He's got aura.
When he walks out, you pay attention to him. For someone who's just showing up in WWE, it seems very well thought out and it's pretty well implemented. Seems obvious they like the dude. They see a lot in him. So I'd give it a B+.
I'd give it an A-, which isn't that far from you, but I think the theme song, Def Rebel's caught a lot of flack lately for how shit they're. I think this is actually a really good theme song. I think it goes kind of hard, especially when you if you put it next to Braun Breaker's one that should go hard, but just is completely.
The thing is, it could go hard. You just got to ramp up those BPMs a little bit on Braun's.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to listen to that one again, but whenever I hear it, I'm
take Braun's theme. Turn up the tempo maybe 20%, and then drop the pitch by maybe an octave, and that'll hit. It'll be hard. It'll be fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to revisit that. But this one, I really, really like this one. I thought this was awesome. I think my only thing is and the Tron is really cool too. I mean, that goofy wolf is one thing, but then there's some other cool I don't know stuff, the analog looking stuff behind it that looks pretty cool. They got some fire stuff going on. I just wish that they would bring the lighting to red lights, you know?
Yeah.
I think that would then make it a solid A, almost A+. Look, Karrion Kross, his solo one with Scarlett, that's an A+.
Entrance. Yeah.
I mean, the thought put into that is absolutely nuts. And I'm kind of sad they don't do that anymore for him.
No, the final test but took a couple elements from that, but by and large, they don't do it. No.
But no, I when I went back and rewatched it today, because people were talking about it, I was half paying attention to the entrance. I went back and rewatched it. Got to say, pretty solid entrance right there.
Pretty solid. All right. So Heyman steps towards Solo after Solo asks the crowd to acknowledge him. He's shocked. The fans are just raining boos on Solo, but Solo continues and says, "My right-hand man, Tama Tonga, step up, acknowledge me." Tama does. So then Solo asks the same of Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu. They both acknowledge Solo as the tribal chief. So then Solo turns to Heyman and says, "All right, Paul, this is your one chance. Paul, acknowledge me." And Heyman is just like mortified. And then that's kicked up a notch when Tongaloa reveals that he has the Ula Fala. And he hands it to Solo. Solo hands that to Heyman and says, "Wise man, look at me when I'm talking to you. Acknowledge me as your tribal chief." So Heyman takes the Ula Fala in the mic. And the crowd's just giving Solo all sorts of crap. And he's telling the crowd, "Shh, quiet, quiet." Waits for Heyman to put the Ula Fala on him. He's standing there with his arms out, head down, just waiting to be bestowed the title of tribal chief. So Heyman says, "Solo, I love you, and I acknowledge that you are not my tribal chief." And so he throws the mic and the Ula Fala down, and Solo glares at him and hits him with the Samoan spike. And Solo yells at Heyman, "I loved you!" And then orders Jacob Fatu to go up top. Fatu hits Heyman with a diving headbutt off the top rope, and the Bloodline pull Heyman out of the ring, clear off the announce table, hit Heyman with the Shield triple team power bomb through it, and then Jacob picks up the Ula Fala. He puts it on Solo. And the Bloodlines raise their one as the show goes off the air. Well, Heyman's just laid out after that power bomb.
That moment when Heyman sees the Ula Fala and freaks out, it's like, where did you get this from? What a great moment. Jesus. And that crowd just absolutely went ballistic. Ballistic.
Mm-hmm.
When he said, I do not acknowledge, I acknowledge you. What did he say?
Solo, I
I
acknowledge
love
that
you, and I acknowledge you are not my tribal chief. Yeah. God dang.
It was good.
Boy. That is really good stuff. It's real good.
You want to do a quick Raw preview and we can answer a few questions? Oh, we're going to do our star ratings after this. After this goes up, we'll get our star ratings for Forbidden Door. They'll go up later today.
Yeah,
a little bit later than usual, but I was gone for the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to watch SmackDown until this morning. So that's on Larson.
Be sure to, by the way, check out our other channel, Friendo Club Wrestling, on the YouTubes. We got a bunch of short form content there, and that's where our star ratings are going to be going up. So yeah, let's do a Raw preview here. Let's bring Paul in for this Raw.
Why do you have to bring Paul in?
Oh, why not? Here he is. Hey, what's going on? This is Triple H the Game, Paul Levesque. We're in the Paul Levesque era. Everything's great. Everything's doing great. Big business, Madison Square Garden, sellout. Most money ever made on any show ever in history.
Is that true?
Of anything else that's factually correct. I find it funny that you would question me. I'm the Paul Levesque era.
I don't know. Well, it's just anyways, we have to get into it. Let's do a Raw preview.
Best not to get into it with Paul Levesque era.
Can we do a Raw preview? Can we do that?
I think we should do. That's what I'm here to do. A Raw preview.
That's what I thought.
It's Monday. The script has been done since October.
That's impressive. That's what, 9 months in advance?
Oh, it's been I've been sitting on this script. It's absolutely piping hot. Everybody loves it.
All right, I'm excited to see
what's
what's
it around.
going
This
down.
was on the Hollywood blacklist for a long time. You know, it's that thing where it's like, you put in, it's like unproduced scripts.
Yeah.
And it's like, this has been out there since October. It's been unproduced. Now we're going to produce it tonight.
Going to produce it tonight. This is your magnum opus, huh? The
This
one
is
you
gonna be
want everybody to remember
one.
you by.
This is the one that is a real cinema.
Yeah. Right and true and dramatic, right?
You got that right. I'm going
All
to take
right.
a sledgehammer to Rotten Tomatoes.
So
Critic score 101%.
not possible, but all right. Zelina Vega to challenge Women's World Champ Liv Morgan. I would imagine that Dom Mysterio is going to get involved in this, yeah?
Oh, man, the horniest storyline in wrestling. It's a rom-com. It's like a college. It's like, what is it? One of the movies from back in the day. It's like Porky's.
Gosh.
Like Animal House,
I know what you mean, yeah.
Everybody's bricked up in the storyline here.
Yeah.
Sending nudes on text messages and stuff, all that stuff. American Pie. It's like American Pie. It's easy to walk in on Dom fucking a plate of chicken nuggets.
God.
Disgusting.
Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre versus Ilya Dragunov, the Money in the Bank qualifier. Who advances out of this one?
I find it funny you're trying to get spoilers out of me. It's going to be Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, it's going to be Drew, of course. Another Money in the Bank qualifier, Zoe Stark versus Dakota Kai versus Ivy Nile. Who advances here, Paul?
It was going to be Dakota Kai, but I saw her complaining on Twitch about wanting to get into premium live events. Still going to be Dakota Kai.
All right. And then finally here, Rey Mysterio takes on Dominic Mysterio. Is Dom going to get a win over his dad finally?
No, it's going to be a big wonk finish. Dominic is going to be too busy thinking about Liv Morgan and the text messages. Very horny, that Dom Mysterio.
Yep.
So, yeah, that'd probably a wonk finish. It's going to be a wank finish. I get it.
Very clever.
All right. Anyways, I got better stuff to do. I got to go make sure all the lights are in place. I got to make sure all the dollies are ready to go.
Oh, you're doing the cinematography too, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing all the cinematography. I got some Cucalorises ready to go.
Oh, wow.
Very soft lighting. Everything is very soft lighting, But then a little bit of rim, harsh lighting. You gotta get a balance. You gotta get a balance.
You do. You want your characters to pop from the background. That's where you have the rim light from behind, yeah.
That's right. We're gonna do a table read here in a little bit. Make sure that all the characters and motivations are fleshed out and ironed out. Nobody has any questions no questions. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, have a good one, Paul.
I'm gonna have a good one. I'm gonna have a great one. Rotten Tomatoes score 110%.
Not really possible, but all right.
What's not possible? It's me again.
I'd like to have a score higher than 100%. Like Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give extra credit.
Where are you? It's me, man. What are you talking about? What are you talking about right now? Rotten Tomatoes.
I thought you listened to these Triple H calls. You have in the past.
Sometimes I do, but today I just had way too much paperwork again. You know how it is.
All right. Let's answer some questions.
Probably a good idea.
Oh, Timar has a good one here. What do you think should main event the Wrestle Dynasty show? Of course, this is day after Wrestle Kingdom in Tokyo Dome. It's the huge crossover event with New Japan, AEW, Stardom, CMLL, and Ring of Honor. Who should main event?
Mark Briscoe versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the Ring of Honor title.
All right. Let's do... Ooh, I got one. Let's do
MJF
Bryan
versus
Danielson versus new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh, that's cool. Danielson wins. Mr. J says Evil versus Jericho.
Oh, please, God, no.
MJF versus Dick Togo.
Okay, that's better than Chris Jericho. Although Learning Tree versus House of Torture just feels like something that could happen.
Yeah. Why do we only have 4 questions on YouTube? That's crazy.
Alex Foster says, "Is this the year LA Knight grabs both briefcases and declares it a 2-for-1 special?"
Oh, there you go. That's good. I mean, I wonder how much like tomfoolery is going to be in these matches because you got Logan Paul potentially fucking with LA Knight. There's the possibility that somehow CM Punk shows up to screw over Drew McIntyre if he ends up in the match. All sorts of fuckery going on.
Yeah, it could be an overbooked Money in the Bank ladder match.
Could be.
Aussie here asks, how long until that security guard who gave the Crossroads the greatest sell of all time is world champ? That was a hell of a sell by
that dude. Spiked. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
spiked
around
himself.
the top, the crown of his head.
That was awesome. Yeah, he's going to be main eventing WrestleMania in 2034.
Nikyle here says, if Solo called you two at Hilton out one at a time and forced you to acknowledge him, would you acknowledge him? If so, how?
I don't want to get a spike, dude.
So how would you acknowledge Solo Sikoa?
I would present him with a rack of Chewy Chips Ahoy and a dollop of Cool Whip.
A dollop, not a whole container.
He's Solo, fool. He gets a dollop. I'll be like, you don't need to be back on. You don't really need any of these, Solo. I'm doing you a favor, pal.
How would I?
He's gonna be like a whole rack of these, but just a dollop of this.
Just a mere dollop? Would I get us like brush each cookie against this pathetic little mound of Cool Whip you've given to me?
Spike.
See, this is what I would do. I'd present him with a full marble cake, with boxed cake mix, yellow devil's food, perfectly swirled, slathered with a whole container of Cool Whip.
Yeah.
It says, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief.
I'd give him, or like a whole thing of Cool Whip and just like 3 Chips Ahoy.
See, that the ratio there is much better. This kind of goes along with it. Disc Golfing Goon here says, if Solo ordered you both deliver a beatdown to Randy Orton, would you do it? And if not, how would you tell him no?
I'd be like, look, Solo, let's be honest here. Let's try to keep things 100, right?
Yeah.
I'll try if you want me to.
I'll be like, I'm not equipped. Oh, by the way, I must have eaten something bad last night. I have to go use the restroom. Goodbye.
Solo,
And
do
it'd
you
be
really
like
want?
I'd be in the bathroom for the entire length of SmackDown. I'd come out just after washing my hands, be like, all right, Solo, I'm ready to beat up Randy Orton, and no one's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Be like, look, Solo, do you really want your latest member, your newest member of the Bloodline, spilling out liquid diarrhea in the middle of the ring after an RKO?
It's not a good look for the Bloodline, I'll tell you what.
It's not a good look for the Bloodline. So I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to deal with this. I'll see you in a bit.
And the bit is 2 hours.
Yeah. I come out during Cody's, dad's title ceremony. Be like, oh, this is kind of nice. When are we scheduled for the beatdown of Randy Orton?
Yeah, exactly. Just wander out in the post-show segment, yeah.
Let's see here. White Brownie says, given that a Raw talent won King of the Ring and SmackDown won Queen of the Ring, do you guys think the roles will be reversed for Money in the Bank? I think
it'll be the exact same.
I don't think they're going to endeavor to do that, but yeah, it's going to be the same thing.
Yep. Jimmy Thomas says, why is the Women's WWE Championship such an afterthought? No stories for the champion, barely defended the premium live events or posters. Is Triple H waiting for someone to build it around? So yeah, Bayley's not really doing anything.
Bayley's not doing anything.
And yeah, it is a letdown. I don't understand why Bayley's not doing anything. She's just kind of waiting around for someone to win Money in the Bank and then to face Nia at SummerSlam, and that's it.
So a SmackDown talent won Queen of the Ring, and then Tiffany Stratton's going to win Money in the Bank. So it is sort of just like Bayley just sitting around fending off people as opposed to having like a story.
Yeah. But she's not fending off people in matches. It's just sort of like she's backstage and saying, oh, I don't want to. Tiffany's annoying. Hopefully she doesn't win Money in the Bank,
Yeah, she's not doing a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I honestly think it's the sort of thing where Triple H understands, and this is not me just, defending him left and right. I think he should try to find something for her. But it seems like he keeps people on TV, and then, little by little, he tries to come around to figuring something out for them.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, he just understands that, okay, well, Bayley's got opponents because we're having people win contendership matches. And so the matches are going to be good, but that's good enough for now while I work on this other stuff.
I would say that given the time you have, especially to build up to Nia and Bayley, you could be taking this time to build some heat around that match. Yes, I know it's not for another month plus, but that'll go by quickly. And the fact that Nia and Bayley, they're on the same show. Why aren't they interacting, even briefly backstage? To remind people, oh, this match is happening at SummerSlam. And as the weeks go by, you can start building up the intensity. It doesn't have to be like huge things. Bayley's standing back there talking to Naomi. Why not have Nia pass through and say something?
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I think it's a bandwidth thing, probably. It's like I've already got this stuff here. I'm good. But I don't know. I don't know what the creative structure there is in terms of who's. I know it all the buck stops with him, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not talking excuses. I'm just trying to figure out reasons. It does seem like there are spells when things just seem like there's not a whole lot of energy given to them, and then eventually they start building to that point. But I don't know.
John Talks a bit here says, we keep throwing around the word cinema around wrestling recently, but should wrestling ever be considered a show with characters? Oh, we talked about this. Make them eligible to receive acting awards. Sure, why not? I don't know what the guidelines are for the Emmys, though.
Should we start referring to wrestling instead of cinema as prestige television?
Yeah. Although I'm sure people refer to prestige television as cinema.
Yeah, I don't think I don't remember watching Succession and being like, oh, this is cinema.
No, it felt like a novel to me.
Well, you read a novel, though.
No, I know, but in terms of the detail and character development.
It seemed like just really good TV to me.
It is really good TV. It's good storytelling.
I'm just giving you shit. Mad Men felt like a novel to me. Mad Men felt very much like a novel to me. I could see that with Succession as well. Anyways, is that all we got? Because that's all I got over here.
Edward Munoz here says, you guys have been friends for such a long time. What is your advice on how to handle conflicts and disagreements? Me and my best friend are great, but when we clash, it looks like Ming versus Barbarian in a no DQ match.
Oh, damn. Wow. Maybe we need some of that energy.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys are doing it right and we're doing it wrong, Larson.
Here's the thing. We go on the basketball court. It's competitive endeavor. We're both fairly competitive people.
Yeah, right.
And I think it helps us blow off some steam. Here's the thing. I'm not like a guy who yells. If anything, I hold stuff in too much.
The few times that we have, and honestly, I could probably count on one hand
Yeah, it
the
doesn't
amount of
happen very
times in our professional lives that we have been at, I don't even say odds, had a difference of opinion.
That we disagreed on something, yeah.
That we disagreed on something. We just talk it out. I don't know. The idea of us like yelling at each other or something seems awkward.
It does.
Yeah, no, we just sort of talk things out. Like we explain stuff, and there's been a very few times when, but I mean, it's happened when I've been like, I understand that you don't agree with it, but this is how I feel, and this is, this is just the way it is, and vice versa, probably. But I don't know. I feel like if we were the type that went Ming Barbarian on each other, we wouldn't be working together.
No, we wouldn't.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not, it's the reason why it's not tricky for us at this point to have been friends for so long and business partners for so long because we've got the chemistry suited for both.
Yeah. And I think we realize from a professional standpoint each other's strengths and will defer to the other person regarding those things.
At this point, we have very clear roles that are sort of understood.
Yeah. So it's not, especially now that we're not going to an office every morning.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like disagreements just haven't really happened.
Yeah.
And I jokingly mentioned the basketball thing, but I think that actually helps us maintain. It's good for us as much as we see each other over Zoom, and occasionally I go to your house to work. It's good for us to still see each other in primarily a social capacity.
Mm-hmm, yeah, sure.
Not to lose that amongst the busyness of working together.
Mm-hmm,
I think it's super important not to lose the bond of friendship while also being business partners.
Yeah, no, I agree with that totally. We have a couple memberships here that I missed. DJ Chicken says 23 is the GOAT number. I acknowledge Steven Larson as the GOATs. Side note, 7 more months until I reach the membership level because he's been a member for 62 months.
Wow.
That's crazy. Oh, man, get to 69. Wow. AJ Otani has been a member for 9 months. Says, all right. He says, just found out Dijak wasn't re-signed due to leaking to the dirt sheets. I think that's been disproven. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
And then Jay Smooth, our champion, gifted a membership to the community. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much. Blake Whitehouse here says, question for Larson. Steve, you can answer as well.
Ooh.
What do you think of the Brody Lee Reebok sneakers that came out today? We talked about that a bit on our stream yesterday. I wish they used a more interesting model.
Okay.
Like, if they're going to go with one of the retro old school Reebok models, I wish they had gone with the Club C.
Club C?
It's a more interesting looking shoe. And offers a lot more ways that you could lay out the colorway in more interesting ways.
Gotcha.
As opposed to, I think it's called the Reebok. I think it's just called the Reebok Leather, the model.
That's interesting. Yeah, okay, so I see that right. Lacey just got a pair of these.
The Club C's?
Yeah.
I used to wear those all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's just not. I love that Brody Lee got a shoe. I think that's awesome.
That's great.
The design aesthetically doesn't do a ton for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the model I'm not that fond of, but I'm really happy that he got a shoe. That's kind of it.
Yeah. I am a fan of, when it comes to shoes, like a degree of design gaudiness. You
Same.
know, I like to be
Same.
big, and I feel like I would have preferred something like that. These are very simple, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they're trying to be respectful, given that he's passed.
It
But
could be.
you know, I think go loud with the Dark Order, Brody Lee.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, yeah. Anyways, I think that is going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Goodbye.
And where's the end stream button? Oh, end stream. They changed things. It's not red
What?
anymore.
What?
End.